So, last class we were discussing about the RPC, that is remote procedure calls, right. So, in one side we have the sender process, in another side we have the receiving process, and the server or the receiver can be placed in a single computer or it can be placed in a remote computer, isn't it? That is what we discussed. And whenever the communication takes place within a single computer or in a LAN, usually the traditional IPC, inter-process communication, as you have done in the laboratory class using socket programming, the communication is possible. Or usually the communication happens between two processes if they are coexisting in a single computer, or they can be in multiple computers in a small area like LAN or cluster. When the number of computers are available, they are networked but available in a small place, small area, right. So, for that IPC is used using socket programming, that is available in C++ or Java, right. Then if you go for RPC, that is remote procedure calling, and why we need a remote procedure call? Because we have to execute a procedure remotely to get a service, to access a service. Service can be file service, name service, or I want to access some kind of resources which is available at a remote place. For that I have to access that service, and to access that service I have to execute a remote procedure at a remote place. Am I clear? And whenever RPC is used, which is a form of IPC, we can allow the communication between client and server, but the goal is that we have to make everything transparent to the user. User should not know the underlying resource details, but the communication should happen. How it is possible? So, the number one is that we have to achieve single system image property or a single coherent view, so that user will feel as if I am using a single PC, though in the underlying there are complex systems available. And second goal, that we must achieve efficiency. So, how to achieve efficiency? So, you have to improve latency and bandwidth, that we have already discussed. Okay. We have to minimize the latency and we have to minimize the bandwidth. Sorry, we have to maximize the bandwidth. So, if you decrease the latency, the communication will be faster, and even if you improve the bandwidth, the communication will be faster. So, there are the two very important goals that should be achieved in a distributed computing system, in any kind of distributed computing systems. Now, the question comes, how to achieve the latency and how to achieve the bandwidth. So, to achieve this latency and bandwidth, there are various possible ways to develop different kinds of protocols to improve the latency and bandwidth. One such protocol is that we can follow a lightweight messaging system. Okay. So, lightweight messaging system means your message should reach to the destination, because whenever you do a remote procedure call or any inter-process communication, there are two things involved. One is you have to compute something, that is computation, and you have to communicate. So, the two things are very important. One is computation, because if the remote procedure is executed on a remote server, it should be executed as fast as possible. That is our goal. And what is communication? Our message whenever is transmitted using the communication network, it should be communicated very fast, right. So, computation should be faster and communication should be faster. So, one criteria for computation is that whenever a sender sends a request message, what it does? It executes a procedure. Something it has to execute, then only a message will be generated and that message will be communicated. And this execution of this procedure at a sender side involves so many copies. Why? Because if the sender is the client, in the client address space, you have to first prepare a copy of the procedure or data or result, right. And this copy will be copied to the network. And you might be knowing, in a computer network, that every machine is attached with a card that is called network interface card. So, how your message goes? Your message is prepared in your computer and that message is copied to the network interface card buffer, right. And from the network interface card buffer, it will be transmitted using the communication medium. Or to make it more clear, so this is your address space, client's address space, this is the communication network and this is the communication medium, right. So, this network interface card itself can be a processor. It is only made for communication, not for computation. The master processor which is available in your computer, that is the processor which will be executing your task, right. And once the task is executed, it will produce some result and that result is copied to the network interface card. But this network interface card is coming under the control of network softwares. And what are the network softwares? We have seen the OSI reference model where we have the application layer, then we have presentation layer, session layer, transportation layer, network layer, then we have data link layer, then we have the physical layer. And when the operating system comes to picture, when the operating system executes or the computer executes under the control of operating system, it directly send the data, copy the data to the transport layer. So, till transport layer the operating system manages and keeps a copy, and whenever it comes to the network interface card, that is network layer. So, this when you pass on this copy from the client's address space to the network interface buffer, the network layer comes to picture, it is okay. Then from network link layer it will go to data link layer, then from data link layer it goes to the physical layer. So, likewise we produce so many copies of the same messages, which are some are maintained by the networking protocols and some are maintained by the operating system and computer which is running the procedure at the sender side, right. So, to avoid the multiple message copies, instead of having so many copies, suppose n copies you are producing for successful execution of your task and communication, and if you can somehow reduce the number of copies, the computation time can be reduced. Am I clear? So, to reduce the computation time, we can reduce the number of messages which are produced from execution, that is to improve the computation. Then how to improve the communication? That by using the network interface card, releasing the task of processor or operating system to networking protocol software, so that the protocols will keep on pulling the network interface card buffer as and when it gets the data that will be communicated, right. And whenever the buffer is free, no communication will take place. Am I clear? So, that means what you have to do, that you have to divide, you have to partition the task of computation from communication, so that computation and communication can be overlapped, can be pipelined. While the computation is going on, during the same time the communication can go on for other messages. While sender is executing a procedure and producing some results, the previous results can be communicated. Okay. So, this is how we can overlap the computation and communication by changing the traditional protocols. So, what are the traditional communication mechanisms? Usually TCP, UDP over IP. IP corresponds to your network layer and TCP and UDP corresponds to transport layer. So, this TCP UDP over IP is the most traditional and popular communication mechanism which is usually followed in the past in tradition, and this layering implies more memory to memory data copy. As I told you, because of this protocol several copies are produced. Some are maintained by the operating system at the client address space and server address space, and some are maintained by the operating system itself, right. Then this another disadvantage, elaborate flow and error control adds process overhead. That flow control and error control both are executed by the processor under the control of operating system, which consumes a lot of time. So, that is an overhead. That task can be released to the protocols networking layer. Then does not handle network congestion very well. These are the disadvantages, demerits of the traditional communication protocols. Then packet loss at intermediate router switches can trigger retransmissions, increases congestions again, right. So, whenever a data is not sent properly, then that same data will be retransmitted again and again. The only thing is that these things can be performed by bypassing the operating system. We can bypass the operating system to carry out this task. Rather, these tasks which are part of a kernel of an operating system traditionally can be released from the kernel and can be diverted, some to the hardware side, that is communication hardware, and some are to the user side. That means the operating system functions can be given to user level or can be given to the communication level. So, what is the next form of communication? It is better to use RPC, that is remote procedure calling, instead of following the traditional communication protocols, that is TCP, UDP over IP. So, this we should avoid to improve the computation as well as the communication. That means some of the operating system services or kernel services should be given to the user services and some should be given to the hardware or the communication services. So, these are the merits and demerits of RPC mechanism, that is remote procedure calling mechanism. So, this gives an higher level abstraction, as I told you in the last class that this gives an abstraction, and any language when it implements the RPC mechanisms, they should support with a number of routines, extra routines or libraries, right. So, by using these libraries or routines, we can implement the RPC mechanisms. Then the parameter marshalling and demarshalling and data representation transformations. So, these are extra things which needs to be done. That last class we saw that why packing or unpacking, marshalling or unmarshalling, why it is required. Because whenever you call a remote procedure, your message has to transfer via a large number of heterogeneous systems. And every time you cannot convert one form to another form. For example, if you are using a data structure array, that can be converted to tree, and the tree can be converted to star topology and like that. So, instead of doing that, we should have the sufficient libraries, so that users can make use of those libraries, and these underlying transformations about the external data representations that can be transparent, or that should be concealed from the user, right. So, therefore, this parameter marshalling demarshalling is required, but when you use this marshalling or demarshalling for the external data representation, this will add the latency, but our goal is to reduce the latency. So, every time you cannot reduce the latency. So, these are the various criteria while designing the protocols. Then one such standard has come out for message passing interface between two processes in a distributed system. So, this MPI is supported by language C++. So, along with the existing libraries, few more libraries are added to the C++ to support MPI, that is message passing interface, and this is a de facto standard for programming on distributed systems, right. So, as I told you, we are basically discussing on message passing distributed systems, not the shared memory distributed system. Message passing means a client has to send a request and server has to receive that request. So, only the communication can take place by exchanging the messages, or I can say that message exchange is the only means to perform any task on a distributed system. So, this MPI is built on the top of the protocols, communication layer protocol, that is TCP/IP. So, TCP/IP will be the underlying layers, and on the top of that we can add one more layer, that we can say RPC layer, or you can say MPI, that is message passing interface layer, and this addition of this software layer adds to latency. So, in one way we are going to decrease the latency, in another way the latency is being increased. So, you have to have a trade off, right. So, wherever possible try to minimize the latency, but we cannot make the latency 0, because marshalling, demarshalling, external data representation, that is XDR, is very much essential whenever you call a remote procedure. So, this is about the remote procedure calls. Okay. Then what is needed? So, as already I have told you, we should have a very low latency. Latency should be as minimum as possible, particularly for large messages. When the message length is very high, the latency should be minimum. And acceptable limit is single digit microseconds. That means you can go up to 9 microseconds, that is all. Otherwise, the jitter effects, the transparency cannot be achieved. What is transparency? If a user gives a request to a machine, it should get the reply immediately. If it gives in terms of microsecond, user will not be able to notice the processing of that particular service on a system. But if it in terms of second, user can easily perceive. User can easily notice, okay, there is some delay going on or something is going on a machine. So, we need the response in terms of single digit microseconds. So, that should be our goal. That is, latency should be as minimum as possible, so that it can give in terms of single digit microsecond. Then latency should be reasonably small reasonable for small message size. Both for large message size and for small message size, latency should be taken into account, right? Because latency plays a very, very important role for the design of distributed systems. So, what you have to do, that choose proper NIC. That means while using a network interface card for your machine, so you have to use the proper NIC. So, how to choose proper NIC, network interface card? That depends upon the type of network and your high performance systems. Your system performance in one end, in another end computer network is there, right. So, the standard networks which are being used throughout the world is InfiniBand, that is a very popular systems. In most of the IITs and NITs, they have the InfiniBand system, and we have Gigabit Ethernet, which is an extension of Fast Ethernet or Ethernet, right, and we have MiriNet. Like this, more than 200 network interface cards are available in the market, right, and one you have to choose. So, you can just ask in the computer center or data center, so they will tell you what type of network interface card we are using for our data center, right. So, this choosing this particular network and the corresponding network interface card is very, very important. So, the features in sophisticated NIC can be leveraged for better performance. As I told you, the NIC buffers can be pulled. So, the system can be programmed in such a way that network interface card buffer will be pulled whether a data is available or not. If the data is available, then it will be sent through the communication network, right. Then tailor many protocols to underlying hardware and user applications. As I told you, the things which have been handled by the kernel of the operating system can be leveraged or can be transported to the underlying hardware and user at the top side, user side. So, that kernel services will be minimized, number of system calls in the kernel will be less. Then you can optimize the protocols and driver codes, that is for printer, various device drivers are used. They can be also, they can be there, the code can be improvised so that we can reduce the latency. So, these are the various features while designing a distributed system. Then you have to minimize the memory to memory copy. That means whether it is a networking protocol or an operating system, all these softwares they use the common memory, that is RAM, right, and even operating system keeps a copy, it will be keeping in the RAM, primary memory, and even the if you take the protocols, networking protocol softwares. So, if they are running on a system, they will also keep a copy in the RAM. So, try to reduce the number of copies in the RAM, so that you can improve the latency, right. So, these are the things needed for designing the protocols or the message passing system for a distributed system. So, what are the ways to reduce latency? How to reduce the latency? So, these are the various ways to reduce the latency. Already I have told you, you have to simplify the protocols. How to simplify? Tailor them to user applications and underlying hardware. That means avoid some of the system services, kernel services, and put them as the user services, or avoid them those who are more hardware centric. Let us keep them in the underlying hardware. Which are more application oriented or user oriented, let those services will be at the user side, in the client side, right. So, large functions are time consuming. So, try to avoid the large functions. Then trade off between reliability and performance. Whenever you try to achieve performance, you have to compromise on the reliability. That means, to achieve performance, the data or the message may not be sent properly, or there will be a computational error that should be taken into account. So, little or no error control on low error rate, congestion free LANs. Whenever you know that probability of error is very less, avoid the completely error and flow control. Error and flow control is a very minimal task of a computer network, okay. And no flow control. Whenever there is probability of loss of data for a large volume of data is less, then use the no flow control mechanism. That means, all the traditional protocols which are available for computer network should be changed, should be modified to adapt to the to improve the latency. Am I clear? So, then remove other functions that may not be that may be unnecessary for distributed system applications, because whenever the traditional protocols were designed, many things are not taken into consideration. So, whenever it may so happen that whenever we are executing a program, some other programs may be remaining in RAM. So, which are also some kind of overhead that should be reduced. So, these are the various ways to reduce the latency. So, this is another way to reduce the latency, that reduce temporary data buffering. Whenever we store the data temporarily, try to reduce it. How to reduce? More copying implies more time. If you take more number of copies for the same messages, it will unnecessarily consumes more time. Clear? Then more copying can also change working set too often. So, repeating in the resulting in more cache misses, right. So, more copying, if you are if you are keeping the same copy again and again, the working set will change most oftenly. What is working set? At a particular time, how many programs are there in a memory. So, if more number of programs are there in the memory during execution, then this will be an overhead. And for large number of programs when you run, and they are called again and again more oftenly, so this will result in cache miss also, because the required items may not be available in the memory. For that, it has to call the the main memory. If the required data items are not available in the cache memory, then a cache miss occurs, and this cache miss prompts the main memory to give the same data again and again. And due to large number of cache misses, the overhead will be high, the latency will be high. So, minimize the number of cache misses. Then use zero copy mechanism. Zero copy means try to have as minimum as possible number of copies. It is not exactly zero copy, but this zero copy says try to keep as minimum as possible number of copies for executing any function or task. Then you can use a DMA. What is DMA? Direct memory access between network interface card and memory. So, just to recall, in microprocessor class or computer architecture, we know that we can use the direct memory access controller to transfer the data from I/O to memory without involving CPU. CPU can be freed. You can release the CPU for transferring the data. So, in this case, the I/O device you can assume network interface card. So, whenever you want to transfer some data which is presently available in the memory, you can directly transport to the network interface card buffer, and you can bypass the CPU, provided we should have a special controller called direct memory access controller, right. So, in this way we can bypass the CPU for forwarding the data to the network interface card, and via network interface card it can be communicated using the communication medium, right, and to do other protocols processing tasks. So, whenever a processor is freed, it can perform some computation, and this is the mechanism to overlap the computation with communication. So, the communication can take place using DMA, NIC and memory. Am I clear? And computation can be taken place by CPU. So, this CPU function and communication function using these three entities or three devices, DMA, NIC and memory. So, there are three hardwares. So, by using these three hardwares, we can perform communication, and using processor you can do the computation, and computation and communication can be overlapped. So, that is computation and communication can be overlapped, so that latency can be reduced. So, overlap means it is one kind of two-phase pipelining. So, we can implement a two-phase or two-stage pipelining for overlapping the computation with communication, and this is how we can reduce the latency. So, so avoid system calls. As I told you, kernel should be minimized. What is a kernel? Number of system calls. So, try to keep as minimum number of system calls in the kernel. So, the services which you are taking out from the kernel can be implemented at the user services level or at the underlying protocol level, hardware level, right, because the system calls are costly. Since system calls are costly, why it is costly? Because it involves data copy, interprocessing and protection checks. It protects your registers, hardware resources, and it also copies that from the user process, it takes a copy, sometimes multiple copies, and whenever an interrupt comes, it is the system calls. Every interrupt service routine is usually a system call, right. So, due to this the system calls are very costly. So, it is better to avoid the system calls. Then we can implement the communication protocols at user level instead of system calls level. Instead of a part of a kernel, it can be implemented at the user services. Simply you can write a function or procedure at the user level, and which can be a function for hardware or for communication, right. So, which was traditionally a part of the operating system, part of the kernel, right, that can be implemented at the user level by developing an software, by developing an application software. But though we are avoiding the system calls, here it also has some demerits. What is the demerit? Less protection, because the moment you are taking out the service from the system call or kernel, so this is less protected or less secured, because anybody can modify it. Any unauthorized user can modify easily if it is not a part of the kernel. Then another demerit is that you need a complex scheduler for concurrent access to NIC. The scheduler for pulling the NIC buffer will be complex. So, there are the two demerits you can say the moment you avoid the system calls. As I told you, if you use system calls, there will be some merits and there will be some demerits. So, merits are more important because our goal is to reduce the latency. So, whenever goal is to reduce the latency, then you have to avoid the system calls, and whenever the goal is to incorporate security, then you have to use the system calls. Therefore, most of the distributed operating systems are classified into two types. One is kernel based implementation and user level based or user level implementations. So, most of the distributed operating systems which are available today in the market, they can be either kernel based when security is important, and when the latency is important, performance is important. So, you have to go for the user level, or we can say that there is a trade off between performance and reliability. So, what is needed in a particular application? So, based upon that, one of the implementation you have to choose. Am I clear? So, then make system calls lightweight. So, how to make lightweight? All the previous whatever I told you, if you follow those procedures, so that will result in a lightweight messaging system for a distributed system. right. So, these are the various ways to improve the latency. Then how to improve the bandwidth, that we shall see in the next class.